Alright, there you are. I was waiting for you, man. Welcome back to the road trip. Shalom, Kingdom Builders, road trippers, Akim and Akatim, brothers and sisters, mothers, fathers, aunties, and uncles, grandmas, and grandpas. Shalom, shalom. Shabbat shalom, right? Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Alright. Yeah, we're here on this beautiful, beautiful Saturday that the Most High has made for us to rest and chill. Alright. Peace and blessings to you, your homes, your dwelling places, all that stuff that means so much in your life, Mishpachah. You know what I mean? Peace and blessings to your homes, your dwelling places, where you stay at, right? Your loved ones, your friends, your children, of course, and your pets, those little fur babies. All right? So we're back here at the road trip. All praises to the Most High. All praises to Yahweh. All right? Glory to Yahweh Shai. Honors to the Ruach HaKodesh. And my love and my respect to you. And it's good to be here. Right? It's good to be here. We're back here. What are we doing? What are we doing? You ask. Okay, well, guess what? We're back here in the works of Flavius Josephus in the book of the Jewish Antiquities, book number 2. All right, the Antiquities of the Yahudim, chapter 7, the removal of Joseph's father with all his family to him on account of the famine. Okay, and that's what we're going to be reading right now. And this one's going to be a standalone. But 8 and 9 are going to come together, all right? And on that last read that we were going through, I meant to show you something. Let me see. Oh, yeah, here we go. I meant to show you this. All right. So they were talking about right here, the caption, it reads, the Great Pyramid, right? The Great Pyramids and Sphinx at Giza, right? At Giza, near Cairo, which were already more than 1,000 years old at the time of the Hebrew Exodus. All right, so this was supposedly built before the Hebrew Exodus by 1,000 years. All right, cool. But I meant to show you that before. Anyway, if you want to read along with me, that'd be fantastic. That'd be wonderful. I encourage that. If you have these texts, you can find them online. The works of Josephus, right? Flavius Josephus, the Jewish Antiquities, right? Chapter 7. You can find it. And there are hard copies of this available. So, no further ado, let us begin. Chapter 7. All right, let's go. Let's begin. Section 1, and it reads, as soon as Yaakov came to know by his sons returning home, and what state Joseph was, that he had not only escaped death, for which yet he lived all along in mourning. So all this time he's been crying and mourning his son, right? But that he lived in splendor and happiness and ruled over Mizraim jointly with the king, and had entrusted to his care almost all his affairs. He did not think anything he was told to be incredible, considering the greatness of the works of the Most High Yahweh and his kindness to him, although that kindness had for some late times been intermittent. So he immediately and zealously set out upon his journey to him. That's the end of section 1. Oh, he's going to go see his boy. That's his son. He can't wait to see his boy. Section 2 reads, when he came to the well of the oath, Beersheba, right? He offered sacrifice to the Most High Yahweh, and being afraid that the happiness there was in Mizraim might tempt his posterity to fall in love with it and settle in it, and no more think of removing into the land of Canaan and possessing it, as the Most High had promised him. As also being afraid that if this descent into Mizraim were made without the will of the Most High, his family might be destroyed there out of fear, and also, listen, lest he should depart this life before he came to the sight of his son Joseph. He fell asleep, resolving these doubts in his mind and revolving them. All right, that's the end of section 2. Let's continue. Section 3. But the Most High stood by him and called him twice by his name. And when he asked who he was, the Most High said, "No, sure. It is not just that you, Yaakov, should be unacquainted with the Most High, who has been ever a protector, Salake, a protector and a helper to your forefathers, and after them to yourself. For when your father would have deprived you of the dominion I gave to you, and by my kindness, it was that when you were sent to Mesopotamia all alone, you obtained good wives and returned with many children and much wealth. Your whole family also has been preserved by my providence, and it was I who conducted Joseph, your son, whom you gave up for lost, to the enjoyment of great prosperity." Right? You thought he was gone, but I saved him. That's what the Most High said. Let's continue. I also made him Adon, or the Adon, right? The Lord of Mizraim, of Egypt, so that he differs, right? But little from a king. Accordingly, I come now as a guide to you in this journey and foretell you that you shall die in the arms of Joseph, and I inform you that your posterity shall be many ages in authority and glory, and that I will settle them in the land which I have promised them. So I'm telling you, he's basically, that's the end of section 3. All right, by the way. But he's basically telling Joseph, like, this is a word from the Most High. You're worried about seeing your son dying, right? Well, you're going to die in the arms of your boy, right? And I will deliver them into the lands that I promised them. So it seemed like he was worried. Not Joseph, but Yaakov. He was a little bit worried about, being disobedient. I don't want to go to Mizraim because then I'm not in the land where I was told from, my father Isaac and Abraham. But it was actually in the Most High's will. He just didn't see it. Just like a lot of our lives right now, there's a lot of things that we do that we're like, we question, but then we do it and it turns out to be for our favor. It turns out to be for our good. Let's continue reading. All right. I love you. All right, cool. Section 4. Yaakov, encouraged by this dream, went on more cheerfully for Mizraim with his sons and all that belonged to him. Now they were in all 70. There's 70 people. I once indeed thought it best not to set down the names of the family, especially because of their different pronunciation by the Greeks. But upon the whole, I think it necessary to mention those names, that I may disprove such as believe that we came not originally from Mesopotamia, but are Egyptians. Now Yaakov had 12 sons, and those Joseph was come there before. Okay. We will therefore set down the names of Yaakov's children and grandchildren. Reuben had 4 sons: Hanok, Phalu, Hezron, Carmi. Simeon had 6: Jamuel, Jamin, Ohad, Jakin, Zohar, Shaul. Right? Levi had 3 sons: Gershon, Kohath, Merari, Judah had 3 sons, Shelah, Perez, Zerah, and by Perez 2 grandchildren, Hezron and Hamul. That's important, okay? Because that's where you come from, all right? Issachar had 4 sons, Tola, Phurah, Puah, Job or Jashub, and Shimron. Zebulun had with him 3 sons, Sered, Elon, Jalil. So far is the posterity of Leah, with whom, that's the first wife, right? With whom went her daughter Dinah. And that's the one that the brothers Simeon and Levi tore up, right? They tore up a whole city because of Dinah, right? Let's continue. These are 33. Rachel had 2 sons, and one of whom Joseph had 2 sons also, Manasseh and Ephraim. The other Benjamin had 10 sons, Bela, Bekar, Eshbel, Gera, Naaman, Ehi, Rosh, Mupim, Hupim, Ard. These 14 added to the 33 before enumerated amount to the number 47. And this was the legitimate posterity of Yaakov. He had besides by Bilhah, the handmaid of Rachel, Dan and Naphtali, which last had 4 sons and followed him, Jaziel, Gunai, Jezer, Shilem, Dan. Dan had only begotten sons Uzi or Hushim. If these be added, because the rest were daughters, right? If these be added to those before mentioned, they complete the number 54. Gad and Asher were the sons of Zilpah, right? Who was the handmaid of Leah. These had with them Gad 7, Zephon, Haggai, Shunai, Esban, Eri, Arodai, Erilai. Asher had a daughter, Sarah, and 7 male children, whose names were Imnah, Ishva, Usai, Esui, Beriah or Bariah, Heber, and Malkorol or Malkiel, in different pronunciation in the Greek, right? If we had these, which are 16 to 54, and before mentioned number is completed, Yaakov not being himself included in that number. That's the end of section 4. Hallelujah. Section 5 reads, When Joseph understood that his father was coming, for Judah his brother was come before him and informed him that his approach, he went out to meet him, and they met together in Heliopolis. But Yaakov almost fainted away at this unexpected and great joy. However, Joseph revived him, being yet not himself able to contain from being affected in the same manner at the pleasure he now had, yet was he not wholly overcome with his passion as his father was. After this, he asked Yaakov to travel on slowly, but he himself took 5 of his brothers with him and hurried to the king to tell him that Yaakov and his family were come, which was a joyful hearing to him. He also directed Joseph to tell him what sort of life his brothers loved to lead, that he might give them leave to follow the same, who told him they were good shepherds, and had been used to follow no other employment but this alone, whereby he provided for them that they should be not separated, but live in the same place, and take care of their father, as also hereby he provided that they might be acceptable to the Egyptians, by doing nothing that would be common to them with the Egyptians, for the Egyptians are prohibited to meddle with feeding of sheep. That's the end of section 5. So feeding sheep was like a slave job, but to our family, that's taking care of our property. All right, section 6 reads, When Yaakov was come to the king and saluted him and wished all prosperity to his government, Pharaoh asked him how old he now was, upon whose answer that he was 130 years old. Wow. He admired Yaakov on account of the length of his life, and when he had added that still he had not lived so long as his forefathers, he gave him leave to live with his children in Heliopolis. For in the city the king's shepherds had their pasturage. All right, that's the end of section 6. And we have one more section. We're gonna have section 7, and then a couple notes that we're gonna finish up this chapter. All right, and then we have some other notes. Yeah, we'll get there. All right. All right, y'all. Mishpachah family and friends. Section 7. Let's finish this up. Okay, let's go. All right, and it reads. However, the famine increased among the Egyptians, and this heavy judgment grew more oppressive to them, because neither did the river overflow the ground, for it did not rise to its former height, nor did the Most High Yahweh send rain upon it, nor did they indeed make the least provision for themselves. So ignorant were they what was to be done. But Joseph sold them grain for their money. But when their money failed them, they bought grain with their cattle and their slaves. And if any of them had a small piece of land, they gave up that to purchase them food. Right? They had to eat some food. Right? By which means the king became the owner of all their substance. And they were removed, some to one place and some to another, that so the possession of their country might be firmly assured to the king, excepting the lands of their priests. For their country continued still in their own possession, and indeed this sore famine made their minds as well as their bodies slaves, and at length compelled them to procure a sufficiency of food by such dishonorable means. Dishonorable, right? But when this misery ceased, and the river overflowed the ground, and the ground brought forth its fruits plentifully, Joseph came to every city and gathered the people thereto belonging together, and gave them back entirely the land which by their own consent the king might have possessed alone. It was like a lease, right? It was like a pawn, right? And alone enjoyed the fruits of it. He also exhorted them to look on it as everyone's own possession, and to fall to the husbandry with cheerfulness, and to pay as a tribute to the king the 5th part, right? A tithe, so, right, of the fruits for the land which the king, when he was his own, restored to them. These men rejoiced upon their becoming unexpectedly owners of their lands, and diligently observed what was directed them. And by this means Joseph procured to himself a greater authority among the Egyptians, and a greater love to the king from them. Now this law, that they should pay the 5th part of their fruits as tribute, continued until their later kings, right? Until later pharaohs. That's the end of section 7. Let's read these notes. All right, now we're in the notes, right, of chapter 7. Point 1 reads, all the Greek copies of Josephus have the negative particle here, that Yaakov himself was not reckoned one of the 70 souls that came into Mizraim, but the old Latin copies want it, and directly assure us he was one of them. It is therefore hardly certain which of these was Josephus's true reading, since the number 70 is made up without him. If we reckon Leah for one, but if she be not reckoned, Yaakov must be himself be one to complete that number, right? It's just logics, all right? That's the end of point number 1. Point number 2, Josephus thought that the Egyptians hated or despised the employment of a shepherd in the days of Joseph, whereas Bishop Cumberland has known that they rather hated such Phoenician or Canaanite shepherds that had long enslaved the Egyptians of old time. See his pages in the Sancaniatho. I've never heard of that book. The Sancaniatho, pages 361 through 362. End of point number 2. Cool. Point number 3. Reland here puts the question how Josephus could complain of its not raining in Mizraim during this famine, where the ancients affirm that it never does naturally rain there. His answer is that when the ancients deny that it rains in Mizraim, they only mean the upper Mizraim, the only upper upper Egypt, Salake, above the delta, which is called Egypt in the strictest sense, but that in the delta, and by the consequence of the lower Egypt adjoining to it, it did of old, and still does rain sometimes. See the note of Antiquities 3, 1, and 6. All right, that's the end of point number 3. Hallelujah, Selah. Point number 4, to the door. Nah, I'm just kidding. We still got a little bit left. All right, point number 4, though. All right. Josephus supposes that Joseph now restored the Egyptians their lands again upon the payment of the fifth part as tribute. It seems to me rather that the land was now considered as Pharaoh's land, and this fifth part as its rent to be paid to him as he was their landlord and they his tenants, and that the lands were not properly restored, and this fifth part reserved as tribute only until the days of Sesostris. See Essay on the Old Testament, appendix, pages 148 through 149. All right, that's the end of point number 4. And we got a little extra side note here called "Which Pharaohs Ruled?" And what does that mean? Well, we're about to read it and figure it out because I don't know either. All right, so what does it say? It says this: the Egyptian kings at the time of Joseph's adventures in Mizraim, the oppression of the Israelites, and the Yahudim, and the Exodus are not identified in Josephus or the Old Testament. It is tempting, however, to assign Joseph to the time of the Hyksos domination, of the Nile Delta during the second intermediate period of the Egyptian history, circuit 1700 through 1542 BC, when such Asiatic rulers might more readily have welcomed Israelites, Yahudim, than if native Egyptians had been in charge. In that case, the later king who did not know Joseph, Exodus 1 and 8, may have come from the Egyptian dynasty that expelled the Hyksos and launched the new kingdom or empire period. But when was this exodus? When was it? In 1 Kings 6 and 1, it is stated that Solomon began construction of the temple in the 4th year of his reign, 961 BC, which is defined as the 480th year after the Exodus. This would place the Exodus in 1441 BC with Pharaoh Amenhotep II, circa 1450 through 1425 BC, as the monarch involved. Many scholars, however, argue for a later dating on the basis of the Exodus 1 and 11 reference to Israelites building the Egyptian cities of Pithom, and Ramses, which were associated with Ramses II, circa 1279 through 1213 BC. This familiar pharaoh moved the Egyptian capital from Thebes to the old Hyksos capital of Avaris, which the Hebrews called Ramses, and the later dating also has been support from archaeological evidence at sites of Israelite conquest in Palestine. If a dating of the 13th century BC is correct, then the pharaoh of the oppression would seem to have been Ramses II, and perhaps his son Merneptah, Salake, circa 1212 through 1200 BC, the pharaoh of the Exodus. He was the pharaoh of the Exodus, the one chasing, was Merneptah, Ramses II, Merneptah, his son. Hebrew imprecision in this matter is mirrored in Egyptian records, which are notoriously silent about the Israelite sojourn in their midst, and 10 plagues or the Exodus escape across the Red Sea. This does not mean that such events are unhistorical. The ancient Egyptians never recorded their verses. They never recorded their reverses, and in fact transformed some of them into victories. Right, even when they lost. One example of how they exaggerated their successes is the famous stone slab of Merneptah, which is listing conquered peoples claimed proudly, Israel is laid waste and his seed is not. This is the first time the name Israel occurs outside the biblical record and is only a citation in Egyptian epigraphy. Many details in the biblical and Josephine accounts of the Israelites in Mizraim also faithfully reflect the Menelu, the coloration of the ancient Egyptian, of ancient Mizraim. An exact dating for the Exodus, however, one of the thorniest problems in the biblical and Josephine chronology, shows little hope of final resolution without new epigraphic or archaeological data. Certainly, Josephus did not attempt any precision cure beyond the biblical evidence, seeing though he was hardly averse to supplying many other sorts of addenda, as well as be noted. As will be noted. And that's the end of that, and that's the end of chapter 7, y'all. Yeah. So we read chapter 7 and we read chapter 7's notes. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to part ways briefly. All right. I hope that you got something and a little bit more context out of these verses. All praise to the Most High. Please be safe as you travel up and down the roads. This is the road trip, so it's fitting. Please be safe as you drive. All right. You're responsible behind that wheel. Please be safe. Watch out for those kids. Right. Okay. So in the meantime, y'all, as always, the program, all praises to the Most High, Abba Yahweh, man. Glory to Yahweh Shai, honors to the Ruach. My love and my respect to you. Please stay faithful, stay true, stay zealous, right? All right, I'll see you all real soon, man. I love you. Yeah.